Hey everybody, hey, I want to go over the install for CBA GTRs. That's going to be in the US 2009 and 2010 cars. Around the world, it's going to be 2007, 2008, 2009 cars in world markets outside of North America. I want to go through some of the components because the install is a little bit different than the 11 to 24 cars, or sorry, 11 to 16 cars. Now we have a radio out for the 17 to 24. So this specific video, 09 and 10 CBA cars. I want to go through some of the differences between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 radio. The first thing you should know right off the bat, there's two devices that you're not going to use. So if you're upgrading from the Gen 1 radio to the Gen 2, for example, and you're looking at wiring that's already in the car, these two devices are coming out of the car. You're not going to use either one of these. This is a audio reroute harness that reroutes the audio from the preamps on the back of the radio. That is not going to be used on the Gen 2 at all. You can get rid of that if you have it. This is an audio box that was used on certain cars around the world for noise. This is not going to be used either. So you're going to remove both of these devices from the installation. You will not need them. So these go away to be deleted. All right, now, there's really only two main differences between the CBA 09 and 10 cars and the 2011 and up cars. One of those is going to be a ground. So the 09 and 10 radio does not run a ground wire through the factory audio harness coming out of the radio. So on the 09 and 10 only, you're going to need to run this ground specifically right here. And you'll see this spade terminal. You're going to want to ground this somewhere behind the radio. Find an exact, you want to be on metal, so make sure you ground it to the frame somewhere behind the radio. You can take an existing Phillips screw, back it off, put this in, back it back down, but find a good ground somewhere behind the dash that you can ground this wire to. If you do not ground this wire, the radio will not come on. This completes the circuit. This gives the circuit a ground. Very important. Okay? So this is CBA cars only. Okay. The other thing, and this is the number one thing that I'm seeing right now, there's lots and lots and lots of confusion on this. Customers will call and they'll say, hey, my gauges are not working or my air conditioning is not working. And I know immediately what the problem is. That is going to be your CAN bus. That is going to be this specific cable right here. Okay, so here's your problem. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so your CAN bus is going to come in here. It's going to plug in there. Flatten this out here. All right, now if you have a 2011 and up, you're going to use this plug. This harness is pre-assembled for the 11 to 16 car. This is a 32-pin connector. You will see that these two wire in together. They do the same thing. You cannot use both of these. You have to use one or the other. That's the most common confusion I see. A lot of the CBA guys will try to plug in both of these. That does not work. They will conflict and then nothing works. So this is for the 11 to 16 only. If you have a 2009 or 2010 US GTR, you're going to use this plug. You're not going to use this plug. This plug is going to do nothing. You're just not going to use it. You can put an X on it. You're not going to use it. You're going to use this plug, and you're going to use a 40-pin adapter. We give you two CAN bus adapters in the kit. There is a 40-pin, which is here, 40P, and we give you a 32-pin. This is here. This 32-pin is for some of the early Japanese cars. I think they were 2007 models only. Maybe some 8s were made with it. So this is only for a very limited range. 99% of consumers are not going to use this 32-pin additional plug, but that's what it's for. For the US market, 09 and 10, this is what you need. This is the only one you're going to use. You're going to plug these two together, just like so. And you're going to plug this into the 40-pin connector that's behind the dash coming out of your factory radio, your factory MFD unit when you go to remove your box. Let me see if I had one here. I do. So this is what a factory MFD looks like. You're going to remove this. This is another common question I get. Now, this is one from a 2015 year model GTR, so it looks a little bit different. The plugs are a little bit different. But anyway, on this box, it's a 32-pin connector, but on the 09 and 10, it's going to be a 40-pin connector. So you're going to remove this box. This is another common question I get. People think they can leave this in. This is coming out of the car because you need the plugs. The plugs are what's plugging in here. So you're going to remove your MFD. All your model cars from 2007 to 2016 have got a variant of this box. It looks just like this, some small nuances. Okay, so 09 and 10 cars. You're going to snap these two together. You're only going to use the 40 pin. If you have plugged in the 32 pin, which most consumers do, don't do that. Unplug it. Again, this plug, not going to be used. Use one or the other, 11 to 16, 09 and 10. I hope that clarifies that. It's a super, super, super common. Cannot tell you how many consumers are either not using the 40 pin or plugging both in, and then they fight each other and you get no air conditioning, you get no gauges. So that is really important for you to know. Let's go through a couple of other things. These are going to be your Wi-Fi. These screw in right here. You've got two of them. They're going to screw in right here. Okay. You will use those. This is, most 09 and 10 CBA cars do not have USB adapters in that year model. I don't believe they started until the DBA, but if you did, coming out of the back of the radio is a, right here, let's see what they look like. Right here, you would have USB inputs, and basically you would unplug the connector, you would plug it in the back of this, you would plug this USB into here. There's two of them. You can take your pick, either one of these, and this goes into the back of the radio. It's an 8-pin. So it's going to go, I believe, here. It only goes in one way. It's going to go here. Okay, so that's going to be that. That's if you want to use the USBs on here. Okay, so if you want to use the USBs, that's where this is going to go. You'll probably want to install this. You might want to hardwire your phone in or something like that. So anyway, this is your USB. And if you want to use your factory USB ports, this is going to be your adapter. You can use either one of them. And again, you will connect from here on the back side of the radio if you have this port. All right, this is going to be your GPS for the radio. So if you want to use, for example, CarPlay, and you want to use the GPS that's built into your phone, well, you won't need this. But if you want the dash itself to have its own GPS signal, this is your GPS plug, and it's going to plug in right here on the back of the radio. And you will want to mount this somewhere up on your dash where you get a good GPS open air signal. So that is your GPS box. That's where it plugs in. Let's keep going here. If you are running any sort of aftermarket subwoofer, amplifiers, if you're running any aftermarket audio, this is your aftermarket audio preamp plug right here. Most of you are not going to need this if you're running factory audio, but if you are running aftermarket audio components, you can install this plug. This is a 10 plug wire, and it is going to go right there. All right. Again, only if you have aftermarket audio. The majority of you are not going to need or use that. This is the Bluetooth internal microphone. If you want to use Bluetooth with this external microphone, I would suggest using your factory microphone. If you use your factory microphone, you will not need to use this, but you can try it, see which one you think sounds better. If you're not going to use this, unplug it so it's not conflicting. It'll use one or the other. But anyway, if you want to mount this somewhere close to you, you can. It's optional. I would test it, see what you think. And if you want to do that, you can. That is going to plug into this harness here. These two go together. By the way, this same harness is going to be used for your backup camera. Your backup camera would come here into your CCDV, your CCD video signal. So this is for your backup camera. So if you're a CBA owner, you probably do not have a factory backup camera. You may have bought one from us. You may have chose not to put one in. But if you have a factory backup camera, or if you're using an aftermarket backup camera, this is the plug that you're going to want. And this is also going to install, this is a 10 plug, and it's going to go right here. Okay. So this is factory backup camera or aftermarket backup camera video input here. All right. This plug here is if you're going to run a 4G hotspot. So if you're going to run a hotspot off the phone, you're not going to use, say, your phone's CarPlay. You want to have direct, audio connection. You're going to run data, basically. You want to run Netflix, you want to run YouTube, that sort of thing, through the dash itself, and you want it to have its own cellular network connection. That's what this is. So this is going to accept a SIM card, which you're going to need to get from your audio, or you're going to get from your phone company. And you can put a SIM card in here, and put your SIM card in. And as long as your SIM card is unlocked, it's not locked to a device, as long as it's unlocked, you should be able to get cellular standalone capability to your radio. That is a 8 plug, and that is going to go right here. All right. So again, that is only if you're going to run, 3G, 4G hotspot. If you're not going to do that, you're not going to need this plug. Okay. Let's see. Let's get back to this main audio harness plug, just so I can, if we're going to go ahead and hook all this up, let me just kind of discuss everything for you. Okay, this harness is universal. We use this across multiple Nissan applications. This particular plug is only used on 370Z. You're not going to need it. So no GTRs are going to use this plug. This plug is going to come right here. It's going to be your main audio wires that go to your speakers. That is going to plug in right there. Okay. So we covered the ground wire. This wire here, I'll clean it up. This is your antenna. So your antenna is going to come in, your plug is going to be on the back of the radio, back of the MFD here, right here. You can see it. So you're going to unplug your factory antenna plug. You're going to plug it in here. This is an adapter. It's going to come right here into the back of the module. All right. Okay. We moved this location from Gen 1 to Gen 2, so just find this on the back of the box. But they look the same. It's got the same style input. Again, this comes in off of the factory radio, aka factory MFD, if you will. That's where this plugs in. So that takes care of all of your audio connections. All that's left is factory backup camera. So again, US spec cars, I think European cars may have had a backup camera. Standard, if they did, this is your harness. Most US cars do not. So this is specific to the factory backup camera, and that is going to come right here. All right. Let's see. This is going to plug in right here. And then for the US cars specifically, you're going to use this one, this plug that has the two yellows on it, okay? And one of these cables, only one of them works with the factory backup, so you're going to have to test this manually. Basically put it into backup camera mode. You will disconnect your factory coaxial and test it here. See which one of them brings up the backup camera signal. It's only one of the two, but you'll want to plug it in here. So this specifically, this harness is for your backup camera. All right, and that's everything. That's the whole system. I hope I've explained these nuances, the things that are unique, the things that are not to be used. And again, don't use this CAN bus plug. And most importantly of all, 09 and 10 owners, make sure you use the right CAN bus. You're only going to use this one, super important, 40p, specifically 40p. So do not use the 32 pin, because if you do that, and it's easy to tell because it tees together, so there you go, one or the other. Again, if you use this 32 pin, which is not labeled, if you use this, you're gonna have badness. It's not gonna work. Only use the 40 pin. Don't use the 32 pin. Hope this answers all of your questions. Enjoy your radio. Take care. Bye.